Morning everybody, welcome back to Brandon Lester Fishing. It's another beautiful morning this morning, clear, calm, cool. You can see I'm all bundled up, but we're gonna get out here and get after them today. I had a couple questions that some viewers sent in, so we're gonna go over that, talk a little bit about jighead color, and we're gonna catch some crappie. Y'all stay tuned. Idled by this bridge and saw a few fish sitting on it, so we're gonna see if they're crappie. They look like crappie. Shouldn't take too awful long to find out if they're crappie. There's one. That's a crappie too. Not a real big crappie, but it is a crappie. He would probably be a keeper, but I've actually got some fish thawed out that I'm gonna cook tonight when I get home, so I don't need any today. He got us started though. That fish was down there deep. I let it sink about 7 or 8 seconds. And crappie are sitting in one little wad down there. I had to come right through them to get one of them to bite. There's, oh, I missed it. Alright, I know where they're at now anyway. I'm trying to get that bait just as close to that bridge column as I possibly can. Just like that. We're gonna let it sink right down beside that column. There we go. Finally got one of them to bite. I can see 5 or 6 crappie sitting right there on that corner, right in the shade. And they're pretty shallow this morning too, which is pretty typical. It's still early in the morning. That's a nice keeper crappie. Just a black crappie. I missed one in there a minute ago. Finally got that one to bite. There's several sitting there, but I don't know if I can get another one to bite or not. They're pretty picky. We'll see. Yep, see, I spooked them when I caught that one. They're not even sitting where they were anymore. A lot of times that's what will happen with a small school of fish. You catch one and they booger pretty easy. There we go. We did get another one of them. This feels like a good one here. Yep. Best one so far anyway. I mean, a fat, thick one. Look at that one there. That one's pudgy. Pudgy. Look how thick she is. Pretty fish. Pretty fish. Back in there, girl. Right now I'm throwing a red jighead. And kind of the purpose of this video, I always kind of like to have a little bit of a theme in my videos. And I guess kind of the theme in this one, I'm going to talk about jighead color, and we'll sit down there and I'll give y'all my thoughts on it here in a little bit. Right now these fish are biting, so I'm going to get back in there and see if I can catch another one. But all right, y'all, I got my boxes out and I'm going to do the very best I can to explain to you guys when I use what color jighead. And I'll be honest with you, this is one crappie fisherman's opinion. Your opinion may be different. Your part of the country may be different. I'd love to hear your guys' opinion on what's your confidence color when it comes to jig heads. But I'm going to break it down the way I look at it, the way I think about it. And it, like I said, y'all just keep in mind, this is just my opinion. So you can see I've got just about every color of the rainbow, with the exception of a few when it comes to jig head colors in my box. I've got anything from white to chartreuse to pink to black to nickel or chrome, like that one. I have said chartreuse is red. I carry a lot of different colored jig heads, and to me there's two determining factors when it comes to which jig head I'm going to choose. There's watercolor, and there's the light penetration in the water on that particular day that I'm fishing. So what I mean by that is whether it's a sunny day or a cloudy day. All right, so I'll give you an example of the places that I fish a lot. I fish a lot in Tennessee. Obviously, that's where I'm from. Mostly highland reservoirs is what I fish. And there's a lot of clear water situations. A lot of situations where I can see I've got 4 feet to as much as 8 to 10 feet of visibility. We're talking super clear water. So that's when I'm going to go for, typically, I'm going to go for these real natural colors, like the nickel plated head, or the black jig head, or just a regular old lead color with no paint on it jig head. Works really, really good in clear water situations. Now, let's say I go to a place like Grenada Lake or some of the Texas lakes where the water is dirty, and I'm having to almost hit those fish right on the head. That's when I'm going to go for your bright colored jigs, your bright chartreuse jig heads, your pinks, things like that. That's a pretty obvious one there. Here's something else I want you guys to think about. Fish see color a lot different than we do. Okay, they say, now I'm no scientist, but from what I've kind of read and understand about fish's eyesight, red is the first color that disappears in the water. Doesn't necessarily disappear, it just turns to like a gray looking color. So in my eyes, when I pick up a red jig head, I'm thinking of something that still has a little bit of color to it, but it's not quite as bright as, say, a chartreuse or a pink. So I'm going to put red over here in the natural color selection. Now I'm going to say these heads over here, you got your pinks, your chartreuses, your solid whites. I'm going to use those either when I'm fishing dirty water or a big oar when I want to grab a fish's attention. Something that I've seen by looking at Active Target for the past 3 years, sometimes even in real clear water, you have to grab that fish's attention to get him homed in on your bait. So sometimes I see where these bright color heads, like a pink head or a chartreuse head, with a very natural colored bait, something like this combination right here, a real natural colored bait with a bright jig head, I feel like that jig head is catching that fish's attention, and it'll get him interested. And then when he gets right there with his nose on that bait, he sees that natural colored bait and he'll go ahead and commit. So day in and day out, when I go crappie fishing in the clear water lakes that I fish, I'm going to have a real natural colored jig head with a natural colored bait rigged up. But if I'm having trouble getting those fish's attention, that's when I go to a bright colored head and a natural colored bait, just to draw that fish's attention and get him zoned in, and I can catch a lot of fish on that. Now, going back just to kind of recap, obviously, dirty water situations, that's when those bright colors come in. You got to get those fish's attention. If they can't see it, they're not going to bite it. But if you fish a lot of clear water, what I just explained to you will help you out. Does jig head color matter when you're crappie fishing? Here's the deal. Bottom line is, there are days where it ain't going to matter what you throw at them, they'll bite it. But those days don't come around very often. more times than not, you got to play around with different jig heads, get the right combination, and you'll have a better day on the water. So does jig head color matter? Absolutely. That's why you see just about every color of the rainbow right here in my tackle box. That's the best I can do. I hope that helps you guys out, and I hope it answers that question, because that's a question that I had on a video, the last one that I made, and I thought it was a very pertinent question. And like I said, there's a lot of opinions in what I just said, but a lot of it I've done a whole lot of studying to figure that out. So hope that helped y'all out. Let's get back to fishing. Thought there ought to be a crappie in that. There was. A big old stump sitting out here all by itself. And there's a huge school of bluegill in there, but I thought, man, that's a perfect spot for a crappie. And we got one. That's the first crappie I've ever caught off of that spot. Pretty cool. Let's get back in there and see if we can catch another one. That's a new place there. I'm kind of exploring today, just looking around and pecking around at some stuff that I hadn't fished in a long time. A lot of times this time of year you'll find those big schools of bluegill, but usually if you'll put your time in, there will be a few crappie mixed in with those big schools of bluegill. You just gotta kind of weed through them, and a lot of times you can tell where the crappie are sitting. Sometimes the crappie will be sitting under the bluegill. Sometimes they'll kind of be sitting off to the side, or if there's a real thick bushy part of the structure that you're fishing, a lot of times that's where your crappie will be. This is a big stump, so it's right on the edge of the old river channel is what this is. And them crappie are gonna be tight to that stump. So I'm gonna see if I can't just scrub my jig right over that stump, just real close to it. I missed a fish right there. There's another crappie. See, I dropped straight down and got him. Just dropped it straight to the bottom and started easing it up, and he hit it. Another pretty good one. No great big ones yet, but those are some good keepers. We'll get us a big one here in a minute. That was a perfect example of the crappie being down below the bluegill, right along the bottom. There's another crappie. Another good keeper too. Not the same size, they're just 11 and a half inch. Good solid crappie, but I'll take them all day. Let's change gears here just a little bit, see if there's anything on this dock. I know they're going to be here. It's a fact of whether I can get to them or not. There we go. First throw, we got one. Looks like a good one too. Feels like a pretty good one. Yeah, it's got to be a good one. Holy crap, that is not a crappie. I don't know what that is. I'm here to tell y'all if it's a crappie, it's a giant. Oh my gosh, it is a crappie. Holy cow. Did y'all see what a run that dude took? That's incredible. Look at that. That's a big old black nose. It's a pretty one right there. We can get back in there and get us another one in there. I ain't never had a crappie do me that way. That son of a gun, if I wouldn't have had my drag set, he would have broke it. Ain't no doubt, 100% he would have broke it. It's another one. What a good keeper too. First dock I've fished all day. Just been looking around trying to find some new stuff. Maybe I should have been fishing docks all day. There he is. Well, these son of guns are biting now. See, I'm wanting it to be as natural as possible on this one. Because these dock fish are real smart. So I've just got a 1/32 ounce jighead right there. Just plain lead color, no paint. And the millie color trout magnet. And as y'all can see, it's working pretty darn good. All right, everybody, I hope you enjoyed that one. That was a fun little video. We caught a lot of fish, no real big ones, but we caught some nice ones. A lot of keepers. Caught a couple off the bridge, caught a few off brush, we caught a few off docks. So a little bit of everything, just kind of pecking around and trying different things. And we talked about the different color jig heads. I'd love to hear your guys' opinion on that. I gave you my opinion. Does it make a difference? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. That's the bottom line. But appreciate you guys tuning in. Once again, you're interested in a guide trip. They're going really well. I've really enjoyed it. And I think all my clients so far have as well. So hit me up. You can find me by email or send me a message on Facebook or Instagram. I appreciate you guys watching. We'll see you next time right here, Brandon Lester Fishing.